Beach FM, locals talking to locals.
And my very great pleasure to welcome to the program now Jocelyn Prvanov, Ward Councilor for Waikanae. She's heading into a briefing very, very shortly. Very busy lady, as we all are these days. Crikey, life is hectic, but so much work has been done. Jocelyn, good morning. Welcome to you.
Good morning, John. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, bearing up under the strain, frankly, Jocelyn. Lovely to talk to you once again. I wonder if we can talk about State Highway 1, that is shortly to not be State Highway 1. That is the revocation process of the old State Highway 1 that goes through the Waikanae Township. And I imagine that it becoming a local road and the opportunities that presents, it's very important to Waikanae.
Indeed. So now that we have the expressway open, there's a process where all the State Highway 1 is going to be revoked to a local road. And that's been on the drawing board for quite some time, and for whatever reason it's been pushed out. And the plans were to start doing work on there probably about now or in the next couple of months, but because of COVID-19, that's been pushed out until early next year, February or March. I think it might be March next year, I think. And so what that's going to do is, I suppose, make it more appropriate for a local road.
Yes.
And going through part of a town centre. So I think there's, so the community board and councillors have all had briefings about how that section of the road will work, as well as how other bits of revocation along the Kapiti coast will also work.
Now, when you say more appropriate to the local centre, to Waikanae, does that mean more parking, more opportunities?
Yeah, so that has actually been a bone of contention. There is going to be slightly less parking, but there's going to be more parking on both sides of the road. There's going to be lights to make it easier for people to cross over the road, excuse me, for when they leave the train, because really there's a lot of jaywalking that's going on. One thing that needs to be looked at is where the buses park, so where they drop people off and where they pick people up. So there's still some finer detail that needs to be looked at. The phasing of the lights at Elizabeth Street, and how cars back up to go over the railway line and then turning into Timawana Road. So, there's a few little things that still need to be looked at. Maybe now there's a bit more time that can actually, I suppose, be landed.
Right, okay, so possibly the delay has been fortunate in that we can get our ducks more in the row. Yes. But Jocelyn, we've been talking about this for years. Don't you think they should be in a row already?
Yeah, well, I think part of it was NZTA in terms of, when they're wanting to do things, and because they're actually funding, quite an amount of this, and so it's actually dovetailing with their works program.
So are you actually doing the work as well?
I'm not actually sure. I think the tender might have been leased, but I can't remember who to.
Okay. But they'll certainly be funding it, won't they? That's the important context here.
Yeah. So part of the work too, which I'm not sure whether it's actually tied up with that or it's actually a bit further down the line, is there's going to be a clip-on on the western side of the Waikanae Bridge for a cycleway, because at present that is very, very narrow.
Oh, gosh, yes.
And so that was something that was actually quite a good thing to get landed, because initially they were going to make the road narrower over that bridge, and that would have been a best trap.
Oh, so you do think there'll be a cycle lane or a sort of a cycle clip-on, I should imagine?
Yes, well, that is in the plan, yes.
Excellent. So that's really good. I think what many people would like to know is what's in it for Mahara Place, because the anxiety is that the commercial centre, well, let's face it, it is suffering already, and we don't want it to suffer any more. In fact, we'd like it to thrive. Do you think there's anything in the revocation process that's going to help Mahara Place?
So the capital works aren't actually just on the road. It actually does extend slightly off the side of the road. So that actually, there's going to be some work in the little alleyway there, or the area where the plantings is, and that will dovetail with work that has been planned through KCDC. So obviously you've seen the upgrade in Mahara Place.
Yes.
And so that's got, there's actually a little bit more work to be done, and that is going to dovetail with what will happen with the NZTA funded section of it. And I think also too, so obviously, we want to see Waikanae Township, become a really vibrant place. And I think there's been some really good developments in terms of the Waikanae Library. So earlier in about February or March, about the time we went into lockdown, a group was actually going to start meeting to look at the design for the Waikanae Library, and that has actually just met. And so it's actually looking at, I think it's basically, I'm not on that group, but it's actually basically starting to look at, where the library's going to be, what it's going to look like. And I know one of the conversations that has been around is it to be a social hub, a very multi-purpose library, very much along the lines of the Live-In Library, the Foxton Library. There's a lot of people who in Waikanae who want to go there because they are socially isolated, and so there are cafes as well, but it's a place where they can go where they're not actually forced. They can just sit there for as long as they like and do whatever they like.
And of course they can stay warm in the winter. I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah,
isn't it?
That's exactly right. So I would like to see that by the end of the year there's some some good design, some good a location is sorted out, so that when we move into the long-term plan next year, there's a very good picture of what that library potentially is going to look like, so that then we can actually start working on getting funding for that library in the long-term plan, and as soon as possible, because I think, by not having the large library that we have, we've found how important it is to our community and libraries in other communities, and it's very much a part of an economic development
absolutely
strategy as well, that brings people in, foot traffic. And then the other side of that too is that the Mahara Gallery, that the funding for that was separated a number of years ago, but the really, really good news is that just very recently they've been granted $450,000 from the Lotteries Commission, and there's also been 2 private donations of $100,000 each. So there's been some really good progress there, and so we'll hear more about it at the community board meeting on Tuesday night. But I'd like to see how they get that information out into the community, so that people might want to contribute as well.
Absolutely. So you're talking about the better part of $700,000 that's come in recently.
Yes, indeed. Yes. So I'm not sure how much is outstanding, but I also know that I think it was about 2016, the Waikanae Community Board put aside, I think it was $250,000 for when other funds from the gallery had actually become available. So it's actually, things are working really nicely. Exactly, things are working very, very nicely.
Wow, well that could be a wonderful boost. Now, getting back to the library, you say that there are discussions going on where it should be. Does that imply there's any suggestion that it will not be in Mahara Place?
Not at all. I think it's my understanding that it might be in the same location it is, or it will be somewhere else in Mahara Place.
And I'm sure the commercial interests in Mahara Place would want it to be in Mahara Place, because, as you say, it's got an economic aspect to this as well.
Yes. Obviously, I'm not on that panel, but I'd be disappointed if it was not in Mahara Place.
I think there might be a few discussions to be had if that is the suggestion.
Yes.
Jocelyn, I know you've got to get off to that briefing. Thank you very much for sparing us some time this morning. It's much appreciated. You're always welcome here on Beach FM.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, John. Have a lovely day.
Great, thank you. That's Jocelyn Prvanov, Ward Councilor for Waikanae.
106.3 Beach FM.